Hello, Eastern Oregon. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Bob Cavanaugh.
And I'm Bree Troutman.
And you're watching the News Roundup.
This is the Friday edition of the News Roundup, brought to you by EONI and Ronde Hospital.
This first story is brought to you by Rock & Sons Tire and Auto, your local auto repair shop.
The Center for Human Development has a new medication-assisted treatment program which includes the use of Suboxone, a medication used to reduce withdrawal symptoms and risk of overdose as a part of its addiction treatment services.
Treatment with Suboxone can reduce withdrawal symptoms and lower the risk of overdose. The buprenorphine in Suboxone is a partial opioid agonist. As an opioid, it still produces analgesia and euphoria, but as a partial agonist, these effects are felt to a lower extent than with full opioid agonists. Furthermore, the opioid effects of buprenorphine increase with each dose increase until they reach a ceiling at moderate doses where even if the dose is increased, the effects do not. This lowers the risk of buprenorphine being abused and of side effects, making it a vital substitute for heroin or other full opioid agonists to help individuals addicted to opioids as they begin their detoxification.
Opioid addiction is a growing problem nationwide and is not limited to one form. There may be a lot of stigma and assumptions about how an opioid addiction starts. But the truth is, many people who suffer from an opioid addiction may have started with opioids that were prescribed to them as treatment for pain or certain diseases. They may have developed a dependency while using their prescription after taking them for a long time or at a higher dose than prescribed.
The total number of opioid-related deaths in this country was 5 times higher in 2016 than 1999. This epidemic is killing thousands of Americans each year, and the death toll keeps rising. What is important for you to know about opioids? Opioids are a class of medication used to treat many different types of pain. You could be prescribed an opioid, which might have the name of Oxycontin, Vicodin, Percocet, codeine, and you could be prescribed these things after surgery or an injury. Your doctor may suggest stronger versions like fentanyl if you have cancer pain. In the short term, these medications can be used safely and do their job without causing problems. It's when people start using them for longer periods of time or at higher doses that it might be time to start worrying about the risks of dependency and addiction. People say they feel wonderful when they first take it. After the euphoria, people say they're relaxed, mellow, drowsy. Some describe a rush of really pleasant feelings. All opioids, whether they are prescribed or an illegal substance, are very addictive. Feeling so good for a short period of time is an escape from suffering, and being relaxed and pain-free for several hours afterwards is even better. People don't want the feeling to end. Problem is, when the drug wears off, withdrawal starts. People feel agitated and anxious. They start sweating, trembling, feeling their muscles ache all over. Sounds like a bad case of the flu. People hate it, and it makes their pain feel worse. They take the drug again, and they feel better. And this is how the cycle of dependency and addiction starts.
To help those suffering from opioid addictions in Union County, CHD is now offering a Medication Assisted Treatment Program, or MAT program for short, which provides personalized supportive counseling and special medications to help users come off of their opioid addiction. As mentioned before, one of the most notable medications is Suboxone, which is designed to reduce withdrawal symptoms and risk of overdose.
Anybody can develop an opioid addiction, and many people who develop an addiction may feel afraid or stigmatized to reach out because they feel they've done something wrong. Jamie Rodegario, the MAT program coordinator, says this is not the case. And CHD is helping people who suffer from opioid addictions feel less ashamed about their addiction and encourage them to reach out for help. Here's Jamie to talk more about the MAT program and what they aim to do.
A lot of concerns come forward about, if I go seek help, I'm going to have comments and also the shame. There's a lot of individuals who they don't want to seek out the help because they have this shame, this feeling of I did something wrong, and that's not the case. So we really want, like I said, to make sure that we shine a light on this. We want to say, let's talk about it. Let's not have it be the monster in a corner where, you know, you're afraid that there's a monster there, but you don't have a light to look at. Let's shine the light so we can look at it and have an idea of what it is. Harm reduction as a whole is a philosophy. It's where you're working with the individual to reduce the harm, basically. So in this program, we're working with the individual to meet them where they're at specifically. So if an individual, for example, needs to, you know, work with a peer, they're going to work with a peer to get that assistance. If they need assistance, that's what harm reduction is. It's really meeting that individual where they're at. It's working to really reduce the harms.
If you or a loved one is suffering from an opioid addiction, there is hope, and there are resources available to you. You can call CHD at 541-562-HOPE to get help and more information.
Now be sure to watch the full video already on EOAlive's Facebook and YouTube channel.
Ever since the 2008 housing market crash, Oregon has been faced with a serious housing crisis. Housing has become less available, and the prices are rising faster than what lower and medium wages can keep up with. While a housing crisis hasn't been declared in Union County, we have felt the effects of the housing crisis in Oregon, with around 48% of households in Union County being considered rent-burdened and availability of housing in the county shrinking. A local nonprofit organization called Housing Matters of Union County has been hard at work for the past several years trying to help those who are underhoused or homeless in our county. L Ladendorff, the facilitator of Housing Matters of Union County, came on EOAlive to discuss more about Housing Matters and their impact in Union County.
So Housing Matters is, we're a coalition, a group of people who are maybe they work for an organization in the community that's concerned with housing needs. Maybe they're a concerned community member, volunteer who has seen this in their neighbors and friends. Maybe they are someone who has experienced or is experiencing housing insecurity themselves. So we're a whole wide group of people in that sense. And our goals are, we have several goals as a way to help in the community. So one, as you talked about, is to really address this issue of who are people who are experiencing housing insecurity. And really our tagline on that, or our answer is the story of us. It's us. It's those of us that have a small business that due to globalization and changes goes under. It's those of us that have a severe medical issue and have a bankruptcy. The second is that we've done a lot of close listening to people that either have experienced housing insecurity in the past or who are currently experiencing it, to talk about what would be helpful. So an obvious thing is more housing, right? So that's a clear, obvious thing. The small communities, Elgin, Embler, Cove, North Patter, and Union, were under 10,000 individuals and didn't receive any funding from the state to do a housing needs analysis. So we're in the process of partnering with those communities to seek grant funding to try and do a housing needs analysis for them. That's kind of a third area that we're focusing on. And a fourth area that we've really been focusing on is support for people moving into housing. So if you have not owned a home and you're suddenly renting a home, it can be a little bit overwhelming to figure out things like maintenance and yard care and the budgeting pieces that go along with all that. And so we call those housing support services. And that's to help folks who have had some instability really figure out all the pieces and how to get those in order and on time in order to be a successful renter and eventually a successful owner.
Be sure to catch the full story on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Now here's Bree with another furry little friend looking for a forever home.
Hey EOAlive, Bree Troutman here with a special friend from Blue Mountain Humane Association. I have with me today Luna. Luna is a beautiful German Shepherd Husky cross. She's just under 12 months old. She does well with other dogs. She's not a fighter. She gets along well with them. She's gonna need a little bit of training, but she is a sweetheart. She just needs somebody that's gonna work with her and be able to have the time and attention that she needs. So she'll make a great addition to your family. If you or you know somebody who might be interested in Luna, then give Blue Mountain Humane Association a call. Tell them you're interested in Luna. Here's Dodzy with another sports segment.
What is up, Eastern Oregon? This is Dodzy with Eastern Oregon Alive Sports, and I am here with the 8 now, because it was 6 and now 8 national qualifiers for EOU track and field. This is the indoor season, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So indoor track and field qualifiers. I have all 8 of them here, but we're going to start out with the sprinters and jumpers, and we have Cody Millmine, Jasmine Devers, and Alex Cosell. Cody's a 60-meter qualifier. Jasmine is a 60-meter qualifier.
200.
200. Correct me, yeah. So 200-meter qualifier. And then Alex qualified in 2 different events, right?
Yeah. Long jump, triple jump.
Long jump and triple jump. All right. So I'll start with you, Cody. Describe to me how you got to this point, this season, with coronavirus, with everything going on. How did Cody Millmine make it to nationals?
It was really just keeping your eyes on the prize the whole time and not getting discouraged. We didn't really know what our season was going to look like even through the winter, and we don't know what outdoors is going to look like, but just still grinding every day, practicing over Christmas break, still working hard, doing all that stuff, just knowing that it'll come together in the end.
Be sure to tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5:30 p.m. for full sports interviews and news with Dodzy.
Here's Gabe, the EOAlive weather kid, with this week's weather forecast. Brought to you by Nate Conklin Insurance in La Grande.
I want to get to the weather alert map. We got a lot of action going on here. First off, let's go over to this beige color that represents a wind advisory, which will remain in effect until 9 o'clock this evening for places like Pendleton, out towards the Dalles, and down in Bend. Places in this pink color through the northern Blue Mountains and through La Grande, Enterprise, and Baker City represent a winter storm warning that extends through tomorrow at 10 a.m. Down towards Ronde and out towards Prineville, that's a winter weather advisory extending through tomorrow morning. What do I expect going on through tonight and through the weekend? Well, I think we will start to warm and dry out, but let me get to the specifics. So I'm tracking an additional 2 to 4 inches of snow throughout the Grand Ronde Valley tonight and heading into tomorrow, and then we're looking at that snow becoming light and decreasing throughout the afternoon, temperatures near 36 degrees. Those lights and scattered moisture will continue into Sunday. We could see a dusting of snow. Otherwise, I think odds favor we remain more dry than not. Maybe a little sprinkle up there at some point. And by the time we hit midweek, I think odds favor we will remain mainly dry. There's a slight chance of a snowflake in the morning hours, in the overnight hours through the first few days into next week, as a weak system passes on through, giving us some cloud cover. Otherwise, we are looking at a mix of clouds and sun with temperatures warming up into the lower 40s heading through next week. Finally, you can see some sunshine to end off your week heading into that time frame. Heading into the Blue Mountains, I am tracking anywhere from about 1 to 4 inches to start off tomorrow morning, and then we will start to dry throughout the afternoon. Mainly trace amounts heading through Sunday and Monday, although spout springs could see a little bit more in the way, as temperatures will be colder and moisture will be a little bit more available up in elevation. Heading through the northeastern valleys, I am tracking maybe 1 to 2 inches tonight through the first part of tomorrow towards Grande and Baker City. Burns, I think, will be too dry to see those kind of amounts, maybe more like a dusting. Pendleton, I think a dusting as well, possibly, but odds favor temperatures just may be too warm, and then I'll warm up into maybe a mix of some wintry precipitation or just rain showers before that dries out in the afternoon. And then heading into Sunday and Monday, temperatures will start to warm up, better chance to see sunnier and drier conditions down south versus north. This has been Gabe Curtis, the EOAlive Weather Kid, bringing you the latest information on the weather for Eastern Oregon. Thank you so much to Nate Conklin from State Farm Insurance in downtown LeGrand for sponsoring this video. And hopefully all of you have a great weekend.
Yesterday on AM on EOAlive, we had a very special guest, Union County Commissioner Matt Scarfo. Matt came on the show to talk about Union County moving 2 categories toward improving on the COVID scale from extreme risk to moderate risk and the story behind it. This could potentially be the reopening of many of our local businesses. Here's a look at yesterday's show.
I've tracked our case numbers all week. It's every day. And I talk with Carrie Brigiotti at CHD almost, she probably says too much, and we were looking really good to go down 1 level, and then our numbers kept coming in really, even smaller. And I kept going, man, I think we got a shot at getting down 2 risk levels. And it was Sunday night that I was just double checking our numbers with Carrie, and we were at 44. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think we did it. I think we could actually go down 2 risk levels. So I woke up Monday morning, fingers crossed. I was like, gosh, I hope this is slick and easy. And we wake up tomorrow morning and all our numbers match with OHA's and the governor's office. And about 8:30 that morning, I got a text from a representative from the governor's office saying, hey, 46 cases, almost got it. And that one, I was like 46, and I want to thank Carrie and our staff here. We got on it. We found the discrepancies. I mean, it took us 20 minutes. I mean, everybody was on high alert, like, where are those 2 cases? So what happened was the state didn't identify 2 transfer cases. A transfer case is when someone gets tested here in Union County, but their address is not Union County. And after looking further into our case counts for that time period, we had an extra one. Also, it was also another from another county. And so we dropped three cases, which if 45 doesn't count, 46 doesn't count, 44 did. So I actually got 43. So we got got to drop 2 risk levels, which is huge, because as a restaurant owner, 25% capacity. That's not enough to keep doors open there.
Be sure to watch the full video already on EOAlive's Facebook and YouTube.
Well, that's it for this week, Eastern Oregon. I'm Bob Kavanaugh.
And I'm Bree Troutman.
Tune in next time for
the News Roundup.